Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today is the first of my tips and tricks videos for you. And today is tying a simple bow. So I'm going to start with this lovely satin ribbon. Satin ribbon is wonderful to tie. Calypso Coral Satin Ribbon. And the first tip I'm going to give you is when you're tying a separate bow to put on your work, leave your ribbon on the spool. It's a lot less waste that way because you're going to trim off on this end right when you're finished and you won't have to trim down. Okay, so the second tip is keep your ribbon straight. And by that I mean no twisting of the ribbon around like this and trying to make your bow straight as a string. So when you tie a bow this way, this initial piece here is your first tail, and you want your tails in the direction that you want your tails to be when your bow is done. I want both of my tails to come down this way. So I'm starting with this tail down here. I'm putting this ribbon in my right hand and I'm making a loop, and then I'm cinching it here between my thumb and my first finger. Then I'm going to continue with that ribbon right around the back of the work. You see, I haven't twisted that at all. Now I'm going to turn my spool so it stays straight, and I'm going to put a fold in here and let that take the place of my thumb coming through, and then I'm going to pull this down. Now, that gets you this piece that we went around with, making a perfect knot in the front. And the way we tied this one, the two strings that pull the bow tight are the two in the back. So you can pull this, and you can see where it's pulling from. It's pulling from the front here. And you can pull this side, which will pull from the front. And see where my tails are going? My tails are both coming down. All right. Then you can grab this from the back, since we know the back ones are the ones that pull the bow tight, and pull on your bow and then decrease the size here until you're happy with it. And look, there you have just a perfect little bow. Now I'm going to end up with a tiny bit of waste on this side because I don't like these tails to be too long. So I'm going to snip that off at an angle, roughly at the end of my loop here. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, roughly at the end of my loop. Make sure you have very sharp scissors to do that. That's my entire waist on this because I left it on here. Now, you can continue to fiddle with this if you want. And remember that the tails, when you tie it this way, pull the front of the bow small and the backs. So when you pinch this and pull, tighten the bow and give you can make your knot here in the middle as little or leave it as big as you want. You might need to trim down just a little bit more, but just as simple as that. So I'm going to do one more. I'm going to pick a different ribbon this time. And of course, all bows require a bit of fiddling. The tighter you pull this, the more you're going to get crimp in your loops. So the looser you leave this top knot, and I'm going to do it again, make my loop, hold this in my right hand, come around and back of the loop, fold this loop to go through and take the place of my thumb, and then pull my bow tight. The tails will pull the bow smaller, and then you pull the back is what controls the size and how tight the bow is. And there again, we've got a perfect bow with a lovely knot on the front. And I'm going to trim this off here. And I'm going to trim this off on this side. Okay. And there's your bow. And that is easily put on your work, and your tails are going in the same direction. And you can manipulate them a little bit. One of the things that I do when I tie mine down is that I position my glue dots, one on the back center of the knot, and then one across the loop and the tail on both sides, so that I can get those tails to be right where I want them with that glue dot when I put that down on my work. And so that is simple bow tying when you have a separate bow to put on your work. This bow schematic, doing it that way, starting in your right hand, going around, coming through and under, turns out a pretty good bow every single time. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with more tips and tricks. Bye.